I didn't really crash on you. Me and you vacation. Up in my best, let's go. Love I them don't know. I get to pick it up for you.
Your systems are offline. This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us.
Your love give me energy. If I sick, your love be my remedy. And I don't want nobody. Me and you go there till eternity. If I give you money, well, you know, shake, I go shy.
Systems are offline. This is the Good Governance Radio.
In the words of John Wesley, love is an open letter which even hatred can read. Which letter are you writing today? What are the contents of your letter? What words are you dispensing to humanity? My name is Ebere Chidera, and this is still GGR Good Governance Radio, that frequency where globally your view counts. I'm not here alone. My brother, Mr. Anthony, abbreviated to Tony. Tony, this thing one that they do name is not good though. Anthony or Tony?
Well, I remember a friend said something. He said when he was still struggling, his name, they called him Anthony. When he became rich, instead of them having that stress to call Ann, just call me Tony. So that is the latest. You have to take something out.
So the blessings are here now.
Yes.
So we should abbreviate it to Tony. So that's the voice and philosophy of Tony Ayodele. You know what we do here on Good Governance Radio, making it factual, making it professional, making it worth listening to. Today is not different on political series. Last time we were here discussing issues, and we say you can speak out whether you are connecting now or later through our various platforms. Good Governance Radio on YouTube, ggr.com.ng if you are going straight through our website, and you can make your contributions when it is time, or send us WhatsApp messages through 091 3023 6602. 091 3023 6622. The Minister of Labour, Dr. Chris Nwabeze Ngige, just told Governor Nasiru El-Rufai of Kaduna State, the NLC, and the chairman of trade union that they should all cease fire. Mr. Tony, do you think this verbal declaration, alignment, or cancel is enough to stop what is already aggravating in Kaduna State?
Well, I think that's just, apart from acts telling them to cease fire, I think there's need for a tripartite meeting with the federal government, the state governor, and the NLC, so that this issue can be looked into very well. You know, both sides are having their own ways of saying that I'm right, you are wrong, you are right, I'm wrong. But I think when the children are fighting in the house, the father has to come, the two of them together, and say, come, let me settle you. I think the federal government needs to come up now and call both the NLC and Governor El-Rufai for a meeting, so that they can look at the issues squarely, and then if they find solution, because it doesn't help the state, and rather it can escalate, whereby you can see that other labor unions too are threatening to join the strike that is going on in Kaduna State. So I think it is right time the federal government should just call all of them to order, have a meeting with them, and trying to find solution to the problem in Kaduna State.
In addition to that, the APC governors came together and said that they were referring to NLC that they should go back to the negotiating table and stop flexing muscles. Now, do you think it was a right address to the labor union, considering the fact that they feel justified fighting a good cause in defense of their members? And if the governors are saying this, should they be talking to the NLC alone? Shouldn't they be also asking their colleague, talking about Governor El-Rufai, what's exactly happening?
You see, at times, excuse me, when you hear some of these governors taking some kind of a party line, when a national issue is very important that they're supposed to speak the truth, they always want to favor their colleagues. I believe that the APC governor ought to have mediated before this incident manifests to this level. I think all they have done was that they all know what they are doing. And Governor El-Rufai happens to be part of them. They ought to have called on him privately and said, look at this very well. Instead of them asking the NS, because there was an ultimatum given to the governor before they went on strike.
Yeah, they didn't just go on strike.
They didn't just go on strike. There was an ultimatum that was
a kind of failed discussion.
And they now say, okay, if this did not happen, we'll go on this. So why did they allow it to escalate to this level before they're now saying they should go back to round table? I think it's the wrong time to give such an advice. The advice should have been said when they were still giving the ultimatum to the governor. And they also know the right thing to do is to call the governor in and said, my brother, this thing they are about to do, let's look at it. Look at the economic situation in the country. Let's look at the side effect of these things he wants to go into, and I'll find a way to give in to some of their demand. And I think that should be the best advice.
That should be the best advice. GGR making that assertion there. Of course, I agree with my brother Tony. That should be the best advice. These issues, they're just beginning to burn, but we have a good drum of water to either water them down, quench them completely, but there must be a solution. Don't go anywhere. This is still GGR, Good Governance Radio.
Chapter systems are offline. This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. Governance Radio. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us. are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
This is the GGR political series, to be precise. Before we went on that break, my brother Tony said that was the best way to go. Now, let's bring some people up to date. The report behind this crisis in Kaduna could be dated back to 2016, when a lot of workers in thousands were retrenched, and the NLC alleged that up to now, the payoff or the gratuities of those people who were sacked,
yet to be paid.
Yes, they're still hanging till date. Now, the warning strike resumed 2 days ago, and we just heard yesterday that the governor sacked the nurses and lecturers who participated in this strike. Why, in the midst of this tension, do you think these actions are still necessary? I mean, you already have a handful of trouble you haven't resolved. Do you think sacking more people and inducing insensitivity is my opinion? Don't you think? Yes. Don't you think he was rather inducing insensitivity? Shouldn't we be talking about negotiation here rather than?
I want to take a clue for what happened in Kogi State.
Okay.
When the Kogi State governor wanted to sack some workers doing this verification exercise in Kogi. What happened? The governor had a meeting. The NSC president were all in Lokoja for the strike. The first day of the strike, what the governor did was to call after their first day, call them to a round table, and they came into an agreement, and that was what ends the so-called murder of strike in Kogi State then. So I don't see reason why that Governor El-Rufai could not do this kind of. And also, what is the reasons why the governor is trying to lay down these people? First, he said the money to pay is too much that they're paying. And from the feelers coming out from this thing, we were made to understand that what the IGR of Kaduna State governor got every month is far more than what he said he cannot use to pay the staff as a worker salary. So I the last time El-Rufai did this was when he went on the teachers. That some of them were not competent, that this one does not know how to do. The next thing was master. But I believe the governor too should also have a human angle
to his actions.
To the action, because I don't see any reason why he should. There's a labor law that gives the right to workers to go on strike. They even have the right to call off their labor. So they have like when the NSC president was talking yesterday and this morning, they say everything they were doing is backed by law. So if you are doing something by law, then you know that you are not violating the law. Even I was also surprised that when the governor was saying that, as I yesterday, that no going back on his decision. As a leader, when you find out that the state is ungovernable, what do you need to do? Just eat back your words and go back to round table. And that's what leadership is.
That doesn't mean you're no longer the governor.
And that's what I mean. That's what leadership is all about.
Because meekness is strength under control.
Under control. So all you need to do, you want peace. And you see, we are all human. All right? And if there's some mistakes along the line, you can still go back and say, okay, well, let us sit down. How I'm going to do this. These things, initially, now what they are trying to do now is, I won't go back to what I've said. I must go ahead. So by sacking those who partake in the strike yesterday, it's uncalled for. All you need to do, you are still adding more crisis in the state. And you can see that what happened yesterday too, some other people pro the governor also came on the street. And
who you thought? I'm coming there now. Apart from the northeast, talking about Maiduguri, Zamfara, where Boko Haram has been resident for over a decade now. Another section of the northern axis where we are dealing with serious, strenuous security crisis should be Kaduna. Most of the banditry, most of the highway kidnapping cases we recorded in this country in the past 2-3 years has been along that axis,
Kaduna.
Kaduna. And now, from what we're hearing, though unconfirmed, we hear that over 50 trucks of thugs were imported by whosoever and from wherever to attack the protesting workers. Now, we have security issues on ground, and we're importing these thugs who could metamorphose into the assignment they were not given in this circumstance. Don't you think the federal government, even though it's a state affair, if you marry this situation with the security issues we have on ground in Kaduna State, remember we still have students of Greenfield University who are still in the hands of the abductors. Don't you think that the federal government should step up in facilitating peace or brokering peace between the governor, between the protesting workers and the unions, so that we don't have extra emergencies added to what we have not been able to deal with?
If from my own opinion, I think few days ago, the Kogi State governor said something, and which is very vital, that everybody, all the governors are blaming the president, that what has been their own role in securing in their own state.
After all, they get security votes.
That is it. He said, start from your own state. You are also an executive governor. You have some power, constitutional power that you are working with in your state. How well have you managed your own state? So now this is an issue that this is a governor, a sitting governor, that has some constitutional power to manage the resources and the human being capacity of his state. How is he managing them? That is what they are trying to say now. So if you now say everything the president should come, the federal government should come in, then the next thing you hear is that the federal government is now coming down to the state to take their role as an executive.
But I only said that because we remember recently, look at the students of Kankara and other cases, the federal government stepped in negotiation. So I only said that in as much as it remains state affairs, I am of the opinion that considering the situation, I'll give you an example. Those days in Rivers State, because of the activities of the militants, anytime there were issues along the waterways, there would be federal intervention immediately, because they knew that there were elements who were waiting for underground channels to activate what they have been suspended from doing before and penetrate the fragile environment and cause mayhem. So I'm insisting that considering what we have on Kaduna axis, the atmosphere is so troubled, the environment is so in turmoil, there should be an emergency intervention.
Yes, you are right. You are right, Billy. But I believe the kind of leaders we have in this country, when something has not got to peak, where people are crying foul or people are now dying or it's out of hands, before you can see that our governors or our presidents start coming out to speak. That has been the norms for a while in this dispensation. So I just believe that what needs to be done right now.
And to confirm what you said, look at Dr. Chris Ngige that is telling them to cheat their sword. When these sacks took place, did he make any statement?
Even this issue has been an issue that is an open issue
in public debate
that Ngige would have even stepped in before this crisis. So, but again, you don't want to intervene because the governor has the executive power in his state. They have the commissioner for education, the commissioner for labor and all these things they say, so they know what it is. But again, I believe the Chris Ngige need to do right now as a matter of urgency is to call the governor and not the NLC now and say to the governor, you are violating this law of the labor because you are the labor minister. If the governors believe that he has not violated any law, put him through, because we are all members of the same party, the same executive board member. So what you need to do now is to call the governor El-Rufai. You can imagine, somebody was saying that this has been the lifestyle of El-Rufai. Once he make up his mind to do something, he hardly have rethink that this has been his lifestyle, which is not so good. At times you open ears, you seek to advise, you listen to people. This morning, the president of NSC was saying that as this crisis is erupting, you have not had any other stakeholders in Kaduna speaking, saying anything. The religious organization have not said anything. So it shows to them, they feel that what is happening, they believe that whatever they say to the governor, he will decline their advices and he will go ahead to do what he wants to do, which is not good as a leader.
Well,
because these people that you are laid out, they are coming back to the society.
To cause
their children will not be turned to be used for
security pressures, economic pressures.
And that is it. So he has to think of the side effect of laying down these people and the repercussion it will affect his own state.
That we go further on that, but that will be after this break. Remember, you can join this conversation, ggr.com.ng, or go straight to our YouTube platform, Good Governance Radio. We earlier sent out the number to make your contributions through 09130236602. Keep it coming after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Your systems are offline. This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. This is the Good Governance Radio. This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us.
Hello and good day to you listening to me out there. This is the 12 o'clock news on the GGR, Good Governance Radio. And first off, the headlines. COVID-19. NCDC records 29 new infections, bringing the total to 165,807. Two INEC office in Ebonyi set ablaze. Buhari seeks debt relief for African countries. And the federal government wades into the NLC Kaduna government face-off. Now the news in full. COVID-19, NCDC records 29 new infections. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Wednesday said the country recorded additional 29 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of infections to 165,807. The NCDC made the announcement via its official Twitter handle on Wednesday morning. It said 29 new cases were registered from 2 states in the country. Lagos reported 18 new cases, while Rivers State reported 11 new cases. Two INEC offices in Ebonyi State set ablaze. 2 offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Ebonyi State have been set ablaze by unidentified persons. The offices were located in Ebonyi and Eza North local government areas of the state. The causes were recorded by the casualties. No casualties were recorded, but there were extensive damages to the buildings and the facilities in the building. This incident happened just a few hours before a meeting scheduled for Wednesday, today, between INEC and heads of security agencies over the attacks on the Commission's offices. This latest attack brings the number of offices to be set ablaze to a total number of 23. Buhari seeks debt relief for African countries. The President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, on Tuesday in Paris, France, called on European countries and global financial institutions to consider debt relief for African countries. He said this would assist in reducing the devastating effects of the COVID virus pandemic on the countries. According to a statement by the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the president spoke at the Financial African Summit held in France within the same topic themed external financial and debt treatment. He said the government extends and intends to leverage on public-private partnership to boost job creation in the country. And the final headlines for this afternoon: the federal government wades into NLC and Kaduna government face-off. The federal government said it is intervening in the dispute between the Kaduna state government and the organized labor. A statement by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, appeals to the Kaduna state government, led by Nasiru El-Rufai, and the leadership of the organized labor to cease fire. The minister also appealed to all workers on essential duties, including doctors and nurses, not to join the strike. The minister is also confident that a week-long discussion will certainly bring together stakeholders and bring about peace within the two separate groups. That is the size of what we have for you today on the news. But just before we go, a quick recap of the headlines. NCDC records 29 new infections of the COVID-19 virus. 2 INEC offices set ablaze in Ebonyi State. Buhari seeks debt relief funds for all African countries. And the federal government wades into the NLC and Kaduna government face-off. This has been Good Governance Radio, bringing you the news at 12. And my name is Akimbo Oluwatobiloba David. Stay tuned as the political series continues.
This is the Good Governance Radio.
Your online radio. The new online radio that makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio. Is the Good Governance Radio. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us. Good Governance Radio.
Some time ago in South Africa, there was a man called Nelson
Listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
Welcome back, still GGR, and I'm still in the studio with my brother Tony.
Right here, we just have a short break news there, and very, like we are rightly said the other time, that leadership is all about humility, meekness.
Yes.
And you're trying to refer to Nelson Mandela.
Yes, Nelson Mandela once walked into the restaurant with his family members and some of his cabinet members, but they weren't displaying anything that showed the presidency was on the move. No siren, just quietly walked into the restaurant like any other South African citizen. And They sat down in a restaurant and they noticed the presence of a man who was fidgeting. The hands, the fingers, the limbs, they were moving. And all the people that came into the restaurant with Nelson Mandela felt for the man. They thought he was sick. So the Nelson Mandela sent one of the aides to go and place an order. Ask the man what he wanted. The man was practically fidgeting. Finally, long story made short, they gave him food. And he couldn't eat the food because his hands were shaking. Every other person wondered except Nelson Mandela. He was very calm. So people asked him, they said, Mr. President, maybe we should take him to the hospital. Nelson Mandela said, no, he is not sick. He was the one who led the torture team that beat me up, slapped me, stabbed me while I was in prison. So upon seeing me in the restaurant, he felt it was a moment. In fact, since I became the president, he has been expecting me to hunt down, arrest him, torture him, retaliate, and possibly bundle him to the same prison where I came out from. And now we are here in the restaurant. He couldn't stop panicking because face to face with somebody who was once his victim, he couldn't stop imagining what could be his next line of action. But nothing happened other than forgiveness. Nothing happened other than tolerance. Nothing happened other than moving forward. Is it not time for us to move forward as a people?
It is time for us to move on. And if we want to move on, where are we going to start from?
We start from doing what is right now because we just left Kaduna issue now. Now, the governor has been begging health workers not to join. Tony, can you remember what happened in a Kwara State Teaching Hospital before the last major strike by health workers? Do you know a young man, I've forgotten his name now, was on life machine?
Yeah.
You remember that story? And they had to switch off the machine because they were going on strike. Which means, look, see you alive. See the button holding you alive. But because we needed to go on this strike, the young man died. What a way. Life has become so feeble and as cheap as vapor that somebody can just switch off the machine.
Do we really value lives now as the way the situation is in this country? Because do you really value this life that we are living?
That's my concern here, because look at what is happening in Kaduna now. We are still dealing with what we call maternal death and infant mortality. We are 900 out of every 900 women that gave birth, 117 could die. Yeah. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We have attributed that to malnutrition, infection, poor infrastructure. But here we are now facilitating automating possible infant mortalities, maternal deaths, and emergency deaths. So a lot of people are going to lose their lives at different hospitals. And we're saying that this is avoidable. To them that have ears, like the Holy Book said,
let them hear.
Let them hear. Moving on now.
Well, you sum it up. The most important is that those on essential duties should also have the
sense of humanity.
Oath that they took at their outfit, that is to save lives.
But the argument is that they are always they are also the ones affected.
Well, yes, you are, but also remember your callings, your professional oath. That has to be your priority.
But life has no duplicate. Tomorrow, the government will pay you salaries, right? Then what of the people that died? So if we go back and resolve this now,
what about the people that have lost their life in the course of your? So there has to be balance, especially those on that.
Also, we are hearing Kepu now that they want to shut down the national grid, talking about electricity.
That's in Kaduna.
That is in Kaduna.
That's the work of the Kaduna.
No, that should be that is national. That is national grid. Because what it means, the health workers, the electricity workers are now saying they want to join. Now, ASU has joined, meaning that the youths who have been somewhere engaged in different universities
will now come back to the
street. Will pull off back to the street we are having this.
But
back and
Ebele,
forth.
I think the critical point here is Governor Rufai should sit back and rethink and feel he has made a mistake in sacking these people or coming out with that policy.
And I'm agreeing with you that we should take this off the presidency. I'm not saying the president, I'm not contradicting myself. I'm not saying the president shouldn't intervene. But from what you said, which I agree with you, you are the chief executive of this state. You know what is on ground. You have the resources. Solve this problem and save Nigerians, because it's going to escalate.
Because Kaduna, I know I live in Kaduna for almost about 4 years. Kaduna has been the most peaceful state in Nigeria, in the northern part of recent, besides I have this crisis. Every section, every sector, every tribe lives in Kaduna. Nigeria is just like Lagos. But because of this crisis now, Kaduna has become a state that you cannot sleep and say, oh. So I believe that the governor has a lot to do. He should call his advisor, and the elders of Kaduna State should also speak out. None so far, we've not had any of them to come out and say condemning the action of the governor or trying to see how they can make peace with the NLC and the governor. So I think it is right time the elder statesmen, the stakeholders in Kaduna should come out and make sure that these issues are being resolved. Those that he has sacked, he should recall them back. There's nothing going back to say, okay, all of you come back, but we are going to do this. I remember a few months ago, one of the governors decided to say the minimum wage is going to pay 18,000. But quickly, when the next people that demand said, he now called a meeting back and said, okay, sorry, he has gone back to this. So there's no harm when you've erred to come back and say, I've erred. Let us make peace. So I will advise the governor of Kaduna State, Governor El-Rufai, to please consider the side effect of what is happening in the state. Because if everybody is laid down, who is going to work with you? Who is going to do the other table work, the paperwork in your state? So you should also think of the aftermath of all this crisis, the economic impact in the state.
Let's move down to Ebonyi State, where we just read that 2 INEC offices went down in flames today. And if you have taken note of what has been happening to INEC offices recently, I think we have counted almost 23 burnt down by God knows who. What's this target on INEC facilities? We still have 2 years to the general election. What is the interest?
Interest. First of all, ask who is behind this attack.
Unknown government, unknown men, men gone.
You just have to ask who are sponsoring these people and what is their interest. That's the first thing. And secondly, what do they intend to achieve by going to where our end tax money has been spent on? Do you know how much they are going to use to repair those offices? Ballot paper, boxes, card readers, all this is got burned.
But is this a signal? Sorry to quote you. Is this a signal that some persons are trying to fulfill the prediction that some unconfirmed news sources are saying we might not have elections in 2023? Is this an underground work to truncate a system that has been existing democratically?
You know, Nigeria is a country that you cannot predict certain things when it comes to predicting that this will not happen. Remember the last election where they're saying because of security they have to postpone the elections. I don't think the 2023 election is an issue now. The issue is that the insecurity in the country. Everybody is just trying to create a kind of atmosphere. Look as if the country is not stable, which is not. And they are trying to look at an avenue that these are the people that brought in the governor, the president, our leaders. This is the body. Maybe that rigged the election for all these our leaders that are bringing pains into their life. in my opinion, thinking that yes, these are the people that didn't give us our rightful people to be our president, to be our governor.
But are
So
there
they are
no
trying-
are there no democratic ways of solving these issues, discussing these issues? Uh, we know that there are protests, lawful protests. Why this outright attack on the facilities? Just like what we have seen in major parts of southeastern states, where uh, police headquarters,
prison, correctional centers.
they've gone down, and they are still going down. The last time, in the last 72 hours, we read that of Ben, the local government in Abia State. That
Abia
should be the
State.
local government of Ojo Zokalo. And policemen are still dying. Stations are being bombed. Is there any part of the world where this approach can bring solution? I don't think so.
It still burdens our leaders. Let them listen to the cry of the masses.
Most often, when those things occur, my brother Tony, the leaders are not there to bear the grunt.
That is why we are still talking about youth being engaged. If they are engaged, nobody will come and instigate them to do something that is not right. That is where we talk about youth empowerment. Once they were empowered, if you are not sitting idle thinking of what you are going the meal to have for that day, and somebody now say, take this 2,000 naira, go and do this, the man is hungry. So what do you think he will do? Because he needs to survive. So the problem we are facing now, this root resiveness, is because they don't have anything doing.
Now, talking about youth empowerment and engagement, we are all talking about restructuring now in different capacities, but nobody is really discussing the exact things that must be restructured. For instance, we are talking about Kaduna now, who is saying, Kaduna State Governor, who is saying, I can't pay. These governors, is it not time to go back? Whether we are practicing true federalism now or not, why must a group of people who were elected into power wait until after 30 days? Most of them do not even stay in their states. They stay in Abuja here, collect allocation, take out their, what do they call it now, security vote, pay civil servants, do some kangaroo or minor projects. Some of them are doing well anyway. Then declare, because I have lived in the South. I am from the southeastern part. And I discovered that most of the problems we're having today are caused by the elders who wouldn't give the youths what belongs to them in terms of, let me not just say allocation, because everybody, we are not civil servants all. We don't have access to the monthly allocations, all of us. Now, they wouldn't build industries. They wouldn't set up empowerment centers just like you suggested. Then all they do is instigate the youth to insult the president. It didn't start from the days of Buhari, so it has nothing to do whether it is APC or PDP.
Doing a comparative analysis,
yes,
people are feeling that Buhari, this present government, is worse than the other past ones. So maybe it's just increasing in terms of awareness.
Yes,
and,
that is an opinion.
It's an opinion.
But let me also tell you this, that I'm not defending any party here. But it's obvious some people from certain part of the country, just like when Mr. President partially confirmed what you said, when he said he wouldn't leave 95% that voted for him to work for the 5% that didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And we know in that analysis, the Southeast and the South, they didn't really vote for him. So they were beginning to quote things out of context or read meanings or deeper meanings into that statement. I know you have more answers to give us, but that is after this break. Don't go anywhere. Fasten the belt. The cruise is getting faster. Still on GGR Radio. Political series still on the move. I will be back. We shall be back.
Computer systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. This is the Good Governance Radio. This is the Good Governance Radio.
Your online radio. The new online radio that makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio.
Welcome back. Still GGR, and we're still riding on political series. 2 years ago in the city of California, a woman went into a supermarket and stole 5 pieces of eggs, and she was caught on camera by the shop attendants. They brought in the police to arrest her, and the police officer went to the woman and asked her why she stole 5 pieces of eggs. She said she had 4 children and needed to make omelette for them, including her very self, because they were going hungry. So people were expecting the police officer to move her into the van, but the police officer went straight into the supermarket and made purchases, shopping worth $200 grocery, and handed it over to the woman. So the media came. Everybody, we are all interested. Why the man showed such kindness? The answer might interest you. He says, sometimes you push the law aside and apply humanity. And he got double promotion.
Humanity is the first rule of law, love in life before the law.
Because it bridges divinity and humanity. In other words, love is the strongest and most acceptable universal language. Before we went on that break, I was telling you how some of the governors induce the hatred of the youths against the presidency, why they have nothing to offer them. Because if you are from a state where, apart from the monthly allocation, you also have 15% derivation in addition to the general allocation, and you are not seeing bridges, you are not seeing hospitals, you are not seeing roads, you are not seeing schools, You are not getting, as a youth, you're not getting bursary awards. And all they tell you every day is that the Buhari is not working, the president is not working. My brother, think twice. Somebody is deceiving you. Somebody is manipulating you. Somebody is distracting you.
I think, let me just cut in there. Yes. I was asking a friend. We were having a discussion.
Yes.
Some few weeks ago, and I asked a friend. I said, "You are here talking about the president not doing some roads or some services that you expected from as a federal government." I said, let's start from your own state. Your grandparents, your father in the village, I don't think you ever fly Lagos Abuja Express Road till he or she dies. You want that your governor that ought to have done that one that leads to the farmland. You didn't go and fight the governor or the local government chairman.
Exactly.
To go and say, why didn't you do this road that leads to my farmland? You are now coming out and say the one from Abuja to Kaduna that even your parents or even you yourself might not drive through that road in the next 50 years. But when you go to your village every week, every day, or every month for an activity, is that same road you are going to pass. You are not holding your governor to say, why are you not doing this road? So I say, at times, let us start from our home.
Exactly.
Let us see, first of all, carry placard on our governors. Why didn't you, the little you are getting from the federal and the IGR, do it, let us see on our states. Before you can say, okay, the federal government, you are not doing our own. So I think the first thing that we need to inculcate in our attitude is, let us first of all hold those that are close to us responsible for some of their failures.
You know, the COVID-19 pandemic exposed a lot of things. Even ordinary, what do you call it now? Community health center.
It's not available.
Nothing was functional. These facilities were directly under the state cadres, and they didn't do anything about it, and they're not doing anything about it. And we are saying that if we must go on this restructuring, why don't we start from now, from where we are now to where we are supposed to be? Because the Nigerian governors are so powerful, they are so rich, they have so much money, they're in control of so much money. Stop inducing violence. Yes, we know we're expecting a lot from the central government. We're expecting a lot from the presidency because they have the moral power to show the way. But we are getting this wrong signal. There's this deceptive body language where somebody is not doing what he's supposed to do.
And it's not
exactly. You mobilize the youths and tell them, hey, Abuja is not working. What exactly are you doing
in your own state?
It's a question that one of these days,
it's part of what they are doing in their own state. They are led to this El-Rufai saying that I want to sack.
Yes.
I want to do this.
Yes.
Instead of it thinking of how it can harmonize the workforce in Kaduna.
Yes.
To give out for them to give out their best in service delivery.
Exactly.
You are saying that no, you cannot pay. But today, this same governor that are saying they don't have money to pay salaries, go and look at the lives they are living. Some of them are buying houses in the choice countries.
The convoy alone can pay salaries.
So all these things are what the people are saying, that if you say you cannot pay, look at the roll call. Look at how many essays, PAs that are doing nothing just to please them politically. So I think the governors also have to sit back and look at how can they make, because the people that are coming to cause crisis or in the other state, they are your citizens, they are your indigenes. Somebody will come from Kaduna or Jos or from Lagos to come and fight in Abuja. But what about your state? So I believe that what we are talking about restructuring is first of all our mental orientation.
Mental orientation
about what do we really want about restructuring, because our leaders are just coming up talking about restructuring Nigeria. This one should go, this one should do this, or we should restructure the constitution. It's not our constitution, it was a given document to us that we should go for. How many constitutional conference we have in this country?
And the center of attraction to all these probably or possibly could be revenue control. That's what everybody is talking. That's the first thing that comes to mind when
is revenue.
Exactly, revenue. This person should control what they are getting and all that. I think we should also be talking about institutional restructuring, and that takes us to our next discussion. Now, for some time, we discovered that kids, teenagers, students who are ready for JAMB, they have come under pressure because for you to write JAMB in Nigeria today, you have to get your NIN, that is the National Identification Number. We already know somebody like me. I did my I did my registration in 2013, November to be precise. Up to now, I have not seen my card, though they have given me the number. If you go to the NIMS head office here in Abuja and other parts of Nigeria, they're overwhelmed. And you are adding compulsory 1.5 million youths to that pressure. What they are now saying is that for you to register JAMB, you must get your name, which will be attached to your phone number before you can do this registration. And just yesterday or thereabout, some senators, Efunife, Oba, they said, no, this is not necessary. In the words of Senator Ifeanyi Oba in particular, he said you shouldn't make NIM and exam issues. And Efunife said you are adding registration woes, existing woes. Because after that JAMB, remember that we still do the unified, what do you call it, UTME. That is to say, you pay to write JAMB. You also go to the school of your choice and you write another exam. And we have severally said that this is an extortion. Is it that you no longer believe in the federal institution, the system called JAMB? They have the power to conduct these exams, set the questions, and admit these kids. And you are saying no. Even when you pass JAMB, you are not qualified. You are going to come. And people have died. I have records of 5 children who died in a ghastly motor accident along Abuja Lokoja. That was last year when they were traveling for UTME. They can't do this thing online. Now, what's your thought?
Let's start from institutional failure. In a society where right from birth, we have the birth registration certificate, death certificate. Once you are given birth, from there you move ahead to school. When we have a data bank, if the federal government has not failed in institutional failure, all these things that they are talking about, the number that they are putting under pressures to have name, to have this one, I can tell you in every day I go out with about five different means of identification. Every day, voter's card is there, driver license is there. You know, every time everybody comes up with something that
international passport,
of course. But if the government really wants everybody to have a national number, why can't they coerce it from other data banks?
A kind of syndication.
And then have it. Now, another thing they are talking about is why should they have this thing? If it's another means for them to have it, because at times Nigerians, when they are asked you, when the government bring out a policy that they should do, you find out some Nigerians just say they are just talking, don't worry. When the government now wants to make a kind of enforcement, that is when you hear Nigerians crying foul. Remember this, at the age of 18, you can have Nigerian international passport, right?
Yes.
But some people say, what do I need it for?
But it's expensive.
No, let's leave that aspect of it. So we say, what do I need it for? Now, when there is a need for something of that nature, maybe they say, okay, you need this thing. Some parents will not say, why are they not saying down? But the government has already brought out the policy that everybody must go and register at names. But nobody decided to go. People are saying no. But when they now say, okay, do it, because this phone is very important to most of them, because it's so like after your work is phone. And because it was attached to the phone, you can see people coming out to start going up and down to do registration. But had it been that the registration was not attached to something that is very important, nobody would look at it that it's very important to do it. But I just believe that what JAMB ought to have done is to find a way that, I think they created a center for people to go and do the registration. It's a way to encourage every Nigerian to have this, to go for this registration number, so that at least it's another way of knowing ourselves, having a data bank,
A valid
means of
a valid database.
So to some extent, the JAM is trying to also have a way they are pulling students from the secondary school, have a means of getting the names and also get into the database. But at times, some of this fraud that comes up from these JAM centers, they also want to use to checkmate some of this. But I think, to me, my own opinion, they should have a way to balance it up so that it will not cause a kind of crisis in filling their JAM form or getting admission to the Nigerian University.
Okay, best way of doing it. Don't go anywhere. We're still cruising political series. We shall be back.
Computer systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio.
GGR, welcome back. Remember, you can still join us on this discussion, ggr.com.ng, and you can go straight to our YouTube platform and watch us live, Good Governance Radio, on YouTube, or you can send your messages or WhatsApp messages 09030236602. I take it again, 0130236602. 091, I beg your pardon, 30236602.
I think Ebele is trying to create another network.
No, I better not, because I remember one day I saw a number on the screen and I called the number. I didn't know they placed a wrong number on the screen. It was a program. And the kind of course I received that day. All right. We were telling you about what the governors should be doing. We moved ahead to tell you what NIN should be all about. And my brother Tony has said, don't wait until there is pressure. I think that's
the message.
That you should cooperate and comply a time by not creating additional pressures, because you are very right. I remember when this registration started, a lot of people say, leave them. We don't know what they want.
They started counting how many,
including me. Do you know the day I went to the bank and they told me to come and do my BVN? No crowd. I told the guy, I better leave me alone. I'm in a hurry. My brother, that day they said they were going to block all the accounts.
Everybody was tired.
I spent 7 hours in the bank.
So I think our attitude towards taking government policies is very, very
because at times that's why we keep talking about sincerity in governance, Tony. When they tell us these things, let them mean it now.
Do your part and leave the rest. Because like you rightly said, when we are trying to look at is that don't wait for the time. You know, government, once they come out with a policy, if the present government did not execute it, the next government will now come up to say, yes, I'm taking this up. So at times we should not we should have that mindset. Okay, it's our government. They say we should go and do this. Let's do it. So that when even though it's not taking, it don't take anything out of you to go there and register when the thing was announced. I did mine immediately they announced it. But when they're talking about names, I was just relaxed. I was not even under any pressure to say, oh, so at times it helps. But at times we should also think that we are in a government that you cannot predict. At any given time, they can bring up a policy that will affect one or two things they asked to have done. So to me, if a JAM is trying to use this means or avenue for also our children, if your parents refuse you to, did not instruct you to go and register, maybe this is another avenue that the government is also saying that through this, I know you go and do the registration to have your number. So it's vice versa. It's in that way.
All right. Sense of commitment is all we ask. A glass of water. I mean, a glass was not filled with water, which means they just added a volume of water to it, and they gave that cup to two different people to describe the cup. One said it's half empty, and the other one said it is half full. Half empty, half full, which means we can see the same thing from different perspectives. And for my dear youths, most of our discussions this afternoon, we have anchored them on insecurity, uprising. We are expecting the government to do the needful, the president, the governors, but let's start seeing the opportunities around us. Many are dying at the Mediterranean Sea. I know you didn't plan it. I saw a very disturbing video the other day. People who moved from Nigeria to Burkina Faso, they were scammed. Some of them sold their land, some of them borrowed money, some of them sold their personal properties, and they were told they were going to Europe only for them to be dumped at Burkina Faso. I want to beg us for peace. I want to beg us for patience. I want to beg us for tolerance. Once upon a time, a shoe company in Italy sent 2 marketers to an island. When they got there, they discovered that nobody was putting on shoes. 2 of them returned with 2 different reports. One said, don't bother sending shoes to that island because nobody will buy. And the other one said, give me 50,000 pairs of shoes because I've seen an opportunity to sell and sell since I didn't have any competitor. Start from where you are with what you have. That is the instruction and the counsel from Pastor Sam Adeyemi, and I align with his thoughts. It can never be too bad that there is nothing to start with. Tony.
Well, I think I want to end today's program by also advising Governor El-Rufai to please rethink his policy and bring back these people back to work. Have a dialogue meeting with the labor, and we need peace in this country. We need peace in Kaduna State. So we should also tour the line of peace so that there can be peace in our nation.
I agree with you, meaning that Kaduna has boiled for too long. Presidency, minister, commissioner, whatever you can do to bring peace so that what has been happening on that axis will not escalate. My name remains Ebere Chidera, and with me has been...
My name is Tony Ayodele. Do have a lovely day.
You agree with me that it has been technically smooth because a young man called Oluwatobilola Davids, his fingers has been magical, his fingers has been professional. His voice was also golden when he took the news. Stay tuned, stay connected to GGR, and be the best you can be. Bye.
This is the Good Governance Radio.
Your systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us.
If I give you my day, will you not take out the